The underlying reason for human behavior. Tribalism is the organization of humans into tribes, and tribes are groups of people linked by any of the following: social, economic, religious, or cultural factors, or ancestry, ethnicity, language, or political affiliation. Historically, tribes were linked by ancestry, but in the modern day, they're more linked by political affiliation, a favorite football team, or a university. And individuals may belong to more than one tribe, but are predisposed to see outgroup members as alien. So, members in a certain tribe might see people in another tribe, they might be weary of people in another tribe or see them as enemies. Humans and pre-humans began as hunter-gatherer groups. Humans realized that a one-man army was not as effective as a 6 to 10 person group, especially with hunting, which was the main activity as humans were initially evolving. And so the branch of psychology that we'll be looking at today is evolutionary psychology, and how tribalism is an evolutionary favored trait. So how humans that adopted this tribal mindset were able to outlive other humans that didn't adopt this mindset. And humans, in the same fashion, humans also developed the ability to detect intentions in other tribes. So essentially what this is the gut feeling. Even in the present day, we still have this, is the gut feeling that we have about other people. It's a gut feeling if we can feel that someone has a malicious intent that was really important to tribes hundreds of thousands of years ago. When two tribes would collide, they would be able to just have this gut feeling of each other's intentions. And that's actually a genetic trait, a genetically evolved trait that humans have adapted. And because leaders emerge within tribes, having a specific leader is a key trait of a tribe. Extreme devotion to the tribe and its leader may put societies at risk for authoritarianism and moral absolutism. We see a good example of this in cults. Within a cult, there's usually one charismatic leader that's kind of the face of the cult, and we see the cult followers willing to do anything for this leader, and just the leader becomes kind of an authoritative figure, and it can drive members of the cult to do inhumane things like suicide or any other kind of inhumane things. So a few key terms of tribalism are in-group and out-group members. So in-group members are people in the tribe, and out-group members are people out of the tribe. Hence the name of the terms. And a really important idea in tribalism is sexual selection, which is the idea of pairing of spouses. And this leads to intra-group competition. So competition within the group for mates. And we also have another key term, which is the traitor. And it's an in-group member that doesn't have the tribe's best interests at heart and is expelled into an out-group member by the other in-group members. And so the three facets that we'll be looking at today that you wouldn't normally think have tribal characteristics but really do are medicine, the military, and the Methodist Church. So tribalism today. Tribalism is in direct conflict with democracy, as democracy requires transcendence of tribal thought. Essentially what this means is that democracy requires us to look past the instinctual wanting to group ourselves, and genetically we want to group ourselves, but as a democracy, that the democracy that we live in today, there's friction between those two ideas. And we see that now narrow and narrow factions are arising, which really defeats the purpose of democracy. You know, as our political state today, there are super extreme and narrow factions that have arisen, and like I said, it defeats the purpose of democracy. So that leads me to my next point of collective narcissism, which is an idea that uh, people within a tribe, um, they kind of have a positive reinforcement to each other of each other's beliefs and each other's ego, and so they kind of fuse into this one identity with this large ego and this really large identity. And tribe members that do not adhere or spread the tribe's beliefs are at risk of isolation. And it's human nature to not want to be isolated. It's human nature to want to be part of a group. Um, so the tribe members kind of use this idea um, against other tribe members in order to spread their beliefs and keep members of the tribe. So tribalism in medicine. So those who specialize in specific areas in medicine may disparage practitioners who practice more broadly, such as pediatric emergency room doctors. So essentially what pediatric emergency room doctors do is they take children that have just experienced an emergency. They take those children, they give them an initial diagnosis, and then they send them off to a more specialized doctor. And so once they're admitted and they see the more specialized doctor, if they need to be admitted, and they see the specialized doctor, the specialized doctor sees the original diagnosis that the emergency doctor made. And sometimes they believe that the emergency doctor overstepped or made an incorrect diagnosis, and this can cause friction between the ER doctors and the specialized doctors. And so frequently the ER doctors are referred to as the them, which is a negative connotation as the other people, the bad people. And this name was given to them by the specialized doctors, the doctors who see the patients after the ER doctors. And so a similar effect is with the interventional radiologists and interventional cardiologists over pulmonary embolisms, as these practitioners compete for the same patient population. So interventional radiologists, interventional cardiologists, they don't do the same thing, but they do have some overlap in the things that they do. And so especially in private practice, when the real way to make money is by cranking out surgeries and cranking out procedures, doctors really kind of fight over procedures because that's how they make money. They're not salary based. And so this can cause friction between interventional radiologists and interventional cardiologists and a number of other specialties in the medical field. And so a kind of a positive from this is that tribalism may foster innovative specialization. So it can make people want to specialize even further in medicine, which can be helpful to sick patients. A sick patient that really needs a specific surgery would be able to go to someone that specializes in that surgery and do that surgery extremely well, and their life can be saved. But on the other hand, when two practitioners are arguing, it can inhibit patient care, and the doctors can lose sight of what the true goal is, which is to help patients. And tribalism in the military. So the biggest employer, the military is the biggest employer in the United States. So it's this tribal idea is very important. So each branch of the military, of course, takes pride in their own branch. They have their own trainings, they have their own traditions, and so they're going to do things their own way and take pride in it. And so because of this, stereotypes are formed about each branch of the military, and squabbling over various kinds of things. And so my grandfather is in the Army, and he said from an Army perspective, some things that they say about the Air Force members is that when Air Force members go to deploy, the first thing that they do is build an officers club. And an officers club is a place where officers go to party and have drinks and wind down. And to Army guys, the first thing that kind of like a joke that they make about the Air Force guys is that first thing they do is build an officers club, which is kind of a negative stereotype that Air Force members just they just want to party, they just want to have fun. And interservice rivalry can lead to the refusal to work together or even sabotage. An example of this is the U.S. Army and Navy rivalry, which led to reduced military achievement in World War II. Another example of this is in Grenada in the 1980s, the invasion of Grenada, where there was a miscommunication between an Army and Navy general, which caused severe repercussions in the invasion and did not lead it to go as successfully as it should have. And finally, tribalism in the Methodist Church. So there's been a recent rift in the United Methodist Church over same-sex marriage, and pastors that identify as LGBT has led to the split in the denomination. And nearly 1,800 individual churches have requested to disaffiliate from the United Methodist Church and form their own denomination known as the Global Methodist Church. And this breakup was largely along political lines and has led to the shunning and ostracizing of the other side. Like we said in one of the previous slides, they look at each other as the them, which is the negative connotation as the other group or the other tribe. And so, in conclusion, tribalism undermines democracy and intergroup cooperation, and we really see tribalism in all facets of life. From the military to church. And really anywhere you look, you can see these evolutionary built-in traits of tribalism. And we should really try to dismantle this tribalism, even though it can be good in some ways, but in a lot of ways it separates us and it divides us, and that's not what we need in this country today. Thank you. And my references.